am I being true to why I originally started this? If I'm not, and if I don't, then I might as well just quit this and like work for somebody else.
What's your relationship with social media then?
Oh my gosh, don't ask me that.
You can't just immediately want to be a professional at things.
You're not going to get better if you don't keep doing it.
And you just can't miss those reps in between 1 and 100.
Sometimes it's the best to just say no.
It's the less sexy part of being a creative.
Sucks. It sucks. I hate it.
How do you find your why?
I'm going to answer it, and it might not be the answer that you're looking for.
Today I sit down with Alana Yoder. She's an amazing wedding photographer from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I think as a creative or someone in a creative field, or even just as a human, it's important to figure out what your why is. Why are you doing the things you're doing? Do you have a drive or a passion that you're going towards, or a goal that you might have in mind? Alana, as a wedding photographer, has to think about her why a lot. Why is she serving couples? Why is she editing in a certain way? And how does she give that to people going through the most important day of their lives? In this episode, we talk a lot about how she serves her couples, how she makes decisions on her business, and editing choices that make her final product what people keep wanting to see as their own wedding galleries. What's up? Welcome back to Summer Cap. What am I saying? Summer Capture? Dude, I'm so bad at this. I'm the host of something that I should be prepared for.
Hi guys, welcome back to Silo Podcast. Today we have Austin as a guest.
Yo, what's up everyone? Wait, I'm keeping this in. Alana. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the Silo Podcast. This is awesome that you're here.
Hi.
We just went through Summer Capture together, which is super cool. You were a featured photographer there, and I've known you for 3 years now.
Years and years.
At this point, we did like a styled-ish shoot with me and Katie.
Yep.
Back when we were dating.
Yep.
And then when we were married, or did we do one while we were engaged too?
I think it was just 2. It was one where we did
It was at Sam Lewis where we had Summer Cap.
And then we rented out Passenger in Lancaster.
That's what it was, yes.
And we did that when you guys were married.
Heck yeah, that was so special.
That was fun.
I love like seeing coffee shop photos on like photographers' Instagrams. And so like being a part of that was like made me and Katie's like day and week and month and year.
Okay, good, I'm glad.
But I also think you hear that a lot. And so because you are like so good at what you do, we were just talking like off cam about like how much you've changed in the last year. But I think you've kept some of like your core things about your editing style similar. But like talk about like the progress you've been and where you are at in your photography journey.
Yeah. So as far as editing style goes, we kind of touched on that. I have just been trying things out. Like I really didn't start with where I am now, obviously. Like I think you can tell from like our Samuel Lewis Park photo shoot, those photos look so different than our Passenger photo shoot.
Yeah.
Because I just found kind of where I wanted to be and where I wanted to settle. And it was really just a process of trying new things. And a lot of those things didn't work out sometimes. Bought a lot of presets, wasted so much money buying presets that I don't even use anymore. So I feel like that's just been all encompassing with owning a business, running a business, figuring everything out is just, it's been a lot of trial and error.
Yeah. But now you're full-time. You're a year into full-time?
I'm a year into full-time. Full-time.
Sure. That's so sick.
What that looks like for me. And
yeah, what does that look like for you?
So I'm really lucky because I got married about a year ago and I wouldn't be able to do full-time without my husband working full-time for us. So I'm kind of a unique situation where he is like the breadwinner and I'm just able to create without feeling pressure to be like the sole financial breadwinner in our house. So I can just create and take on the projects that I want. And I do about 16, 17 weddings every year. And yeah, that's like kind of what full-time looks like for me.
Yeah, but like at the same time, volume obviously does not indicate what is necessary or whatever the case. And that shows in like each household being different in what they're needing to live off of, and where you live, I feel like depends a lot on like how much you pay for rent and stuff. And I think Lancaster, as I know now that I moved there, is pretty high expense.
Yeah. And full-time looks different for everyone. Yeah. Full-time for one person could be 30 weddings. which for me, that just is insanity. I can't fathom doing that many weddings. And then full-time for other people is like 10 or 12. It's just about your lifestyle and how much you want to take. And there's not like a right or wrong.
Oh no, I think that's the coolest part about like being a creative. It's like you can have someone that is a part of your household that like is fully making all the money or whatever you need to be, but that enables you to live your best life in some ways too. Like you're able to, like, the burden of financial need is taken off of you and you're just able to do what you love and like want to do.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome. And like, yeah. And so for the scale of like weddings in wedding photography, you can have like 10 weddings and still make a ton of money, or you could have 30 weddings at a lower cost and have the same amount of money.
Yep.
So like there's a huge sliding scale to everything that we do, but like, especially in weddings, it's also about serving the couples well. And I think that's something that you do really well. And that's probably what also drives you to only have that amount of weddings as well. Like serving everyone well so that you're not divided attention across however many.
Absolutely. And that was kind of this year I found that sweet spot. And I think I evaluated my business and I was like, this is how many weddings I can take without being like overloaded, so I can give my attention and my best work to everyone that books with me, because I don't want to spread myself too thin to where I'm neglecting people and like the coolest time of their lives. Like you're engaged, you're super excited, you want to book vendors that care about you and care about your story and care about your love and like authentically telling that story well. I don't want to burn myself out to the point where I'm not able to commit like they deserve to be committed to.
Right. How do you come up with that number? Like what goes through your head to like decipher, I can only take this much? Like how much time do you devote to each couple for like the weddings? And what does that look like in a weekly basis?
That's such a good question. And I'm going to answer it. And it might not be the answer that you're looking for.
But there's no right answer.
That's true. There is no right answer.
That's going to be a theme for today, by the way.
So for me personally, and this number can look different for everyone, I came up with 16-ish weddings because most of my packages include engagement photos too. So that's 16 weddings, 16 engagement sessions, 16 individual couples. I knew that any more than that, I was going to like start forgetting names, start forgetting dates. Like you can be so
the
organized.
Worst wedding day and you're just like, yo,
like,
go John. And his name is Andrew.
You do this. And you're like, I do not remember this man's name. So it's just been a process of trial and error, and where I feel like I could do more, like 20, let's say, I just would rather play it safe and be able to know that I'm able to give every single couple that books with me the experience that they deserve, rather than just like, oh, let's like push it to 20. Let's push it to 25 because I want to make more money.
Yeah, that's like an ambitious thing.
Yeah.
That you might not want to do.
The wrong kind of ambition.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
For me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Personally.
And I think that takes us into like what does that look like every week for like 16 couples that you have on your brain for the year? Or like what point, maybe here's another question. At what point do you fill your next year? Like, is that, so if we look at 2025,
Yep.
I would say a lot of people are not fully filled for 2025.
Yeah.
Are you still taking bookings for 2025?
Absolutely. I have 7 weddings out of like the 16 that I'm taking right now booked.
Yeah.
And side note, it is super weird when you're on social media and people are like, I'm taking 25 weddings, I'm taking 10 weddings. And they're like, you know, my books are fully closed for 2025. I'm now booking 2026. That can be, I feel like, super discouraging for people to see and look at. And there's so much room for comparison in what we do as any creative, but especially there when I'm online and I'm seeing photographers who are like in my area or out of my area, or like huge photographers who've been doing this for so long. They're like, I'm closing my 2025 books. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm not getting the inquiries that they're getting. You know, I only have 6 weddings booked for this year, but I know that those it's either 6 or 7 couples that I have are sweethearts, and they're my ideal dream couples and clients. And I know that for me, that's exactly who I want to be working with. And I can't look into someone else's business and how they run things and compare what I'm doing to what they're doing, because they might have a totally different standard for how they book people. They might just take everybody.
Right.
Even if they're like, oh, I'm like gonna dread this wedding, or like, even if you're not a photographer, I might dread this project, or they really don't trust my creative vision, but like, I'm gonna take it anyways.
Right. Imagine if you probably could just take anyone and you would be filled, but you intentionally book the people that like actually vibe and work with you.
Yeah.
It's a big deal because
yeah.
I think there is room for flaunting or there already is, but there is even more room for flaunting on Instagram. Like, oh, just filled my last of 25 slots for 2025. But I think a lot of people they still have, and let's destigmatize like that you have all your bookings before the year starts. Like a lot of I would say, I don't know, you probably know a little bit better than I do. I would say at least 80 to 90% still book within the year that they're shooting.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And I think the wedding industry is changing too, to where before it was like you got most of your inquiries in January and February of that year for next year. And now the industry it's always changing, always ebbing and flowing. And now I think you're seeing a lot of couples reaching out 6 months before their wedding, or like 9 months before their wedding. And I think there's a lot of like panic, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not getting the inquiries that I used to. This is not how traditionally I would get inquiries. But industry's changing.
Yeah.
And it's super scary because you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to feed my family?
Right. And you can't, as a wedding photographer, the whole thing is that like you kind of plan in advance because the weddings are so far in advance. As like, if you were just like a family photographer, they might only be 2 months ahead of time.
For sure.
So that's like a rolling thing. But for like weddings, it had traditionally or in the past has been a longer time frame that hey, I have income coming in like November of this year. So I'm like less worried about my future. But if the engagement times are getting shorter, or like at least the inquiry times are getting shorter, it's harder as a wedding photographer to like plan and figure out what your life looks like.
Yeah, for sure. If you're booking so far out in advance, exactly like you said, you're like, okay, like I have work, but I really do think that it's just the industry is changing a little bit. People are booking a little bit differently now. They're not planning their weddings, 2 years in advance. I mean, some people are obviously still, but I think it's more common now for those like inquiries to come in 6 months, even like sooner than that sometimes.
Yeah. That's just scary. Do you think, and this is just a general question that you might have an answer to, you might not, but like, do you think engagements are getting shorter and like people are booking you when they get engaged and it's just like a shorter period of time of people getting engaged?
Yeah.
We live in like a more Christian area. So like Lancaster Bible College being an example, like Ring by Spring is a culture. That is a thing, whether you like it or not.
I think so. I think I've had kind of a 50-50 spectrum of, I have couples who have been engaged for like a month and they're like, our wedding is in 5 months or 9 months or whatever. Like we just got engaged. We're planning. We're going to have a short engagement. Like, I'm like, okay. And then you have those couples who are like, we've been engaged for like a year. We really haven't done a ton of wedding planning. So we've just been enjoying our engagement. And now we're starting the wedding planning process, but our wedding's in like 9 months, 10 months. So it's kind of both ends of the spectrum. I do see short engagements and I do see longer, but it's kind of the same amount of like time until the wedding.
Yeah. Do you find that you are actually delivering more value to the people that have shorter engagements? Because it's like, hey, we're stressed out, and you get to like calm their nerves about the whole process. I feel like wedding photographers specifically should get booked pretty early on. So you're one of the first people that like get to calm the uneasiness of couples that are like, I don't know what I'm doing for a wedding. Can you help out?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to be one of the first vendors who are booked and to like join the couples in that first process, like at the start of the process, because a lot of times, like, I always like to joke, like, you guys have never done this before. This is your first time getting married. This is your first time being engaged. Like, I want to be as involved or not as involved as you want me to be. And typically our consultation call is more than just about like, well, like, what's your wedding budget? And like, are we going to be a good fit? Like, I really desire to, like, how's wedding planning process going? Like, are you being bombarded on social medias? Like, are family and friends like down your throat? Like, tell me what that process has been like. You know, what are you seeing that you like? What are you seeing that you don't like? Like, it's so overwhelming. And especially now, I think it's only going to get more overwhelming to plan a wedding because of how many options you have. So it is really cool to be like the first vendor to come and be like, yeah, like, it's going to be okay. Like, just do what you want to do and don't let anybody influence from the outside.
What does it take to have that like calming or like chilling effect on people? Like what personality traits do you have to have as like a wedding photographer for that to be the case?
Oh my goodness.
Or what skills do you have to learn?
I don't know if I'm a very calming presence, but
you are to me and Katie at least.
Thank you. I really enjoy just making it known that I want to be more than a vendor to you. I want to be your friend. First and foremost, I know that I'm providing a service to you, but I desire to create a relationship that's more than just, I'm your vendor. I'm going to show up on your wedding day and take your pictures, and then you're never going to hear from me again.
Right.
And that is super beneficial for creating real moments that I'm able to photograph. That's super easy for them to come to me and be like, we're stressed, we're overwhelmed, we don't know who to book now. Like, do you have vendor recommendations? Like, girl, I got you. Like, this is who I love working with. Like, this is who's going to do a really good job, because you do take a risk when you book vendors. You're like,
100%.
are they going to be like a good presence on the wedding day? Like, are they going to be calm? Are they going to do this well? Or am I going to get ripped off? And I'm like, I got you. Like, here's who I would recommend. Or, you know, your mom's breathing down your neck. Like, what do you want to do? Like, not what she wants to do, not what he wants to do, not what your friends want to do. Like, what do you want to do? And so I feel like creating that relationship first and foremost is just like, makes a world of difference for sure.
What is your process on after the wedding? Like, you say you want to be friends with these people. Is it, I mean, you send in your gallery, and then is there anything more? Is there check-ins? I've seen photographers like reach out and post like a year after their wedding day, and like you go back and reminisce with them.
Yeah. So after the gallery is delivered, I have stayed in contact with quite a few of my couples. Obviously, I'm not going to be like, we have to be friends, but those couples who are like, you know, we did really bond with, I'm still friends with. After the gallery gets delivered, I kind of got ahead of myself. I send out a last deliverable, which all of my packages include film and Polaroid. So like, it'll include that. I like write a nice little card, just like some nice surprises. So they get that from me after their gallery. So it's like one last surprise. And then I do have a lot of my wedding couples booking me even before their wedding day, like for, you know, we want family photos done with you. So I'm doing that in November. I have maternity photos that I have with like previous clients, which is just so cool to see. Like, I was there on your wedding day, and like now you're going to have babies. Like,
yeah.
I just shot like a year ago. So not just, but a year ago, I did maternity photos for the very first couple that I ever shot. Wow. Like the first wedding that I ever shot was their wedding, and then I did their maternity photos. And I was
That's huge.
That is like so meaningful and impactful to me. Like, that just means the world that, one, you remember me, and two, that you like wanted me to be there in your life again for like such a huge moment.
Yeah. I think it goes both ways. It's like, yeah, do you think that the photographer remembers these people? Do you think that we're just a number to them? But then they're also like, wow, that's so actually surprising that I remembered you as just one of the hundreds of people that I saw, or a couple tens of people I saw at my wedding. Like, it's just as cool that it's reciprocated in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just goes to show that like the depth of relationships matter, because you can become friends with clients. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, as I've talked to other individuals on the pod, I'm like, it's so evident that like depth over width is so much more impactful.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I mean,
And I
obviously
think that's what people are looking for. Like they don't want, in the world of like this, like, not to sound like super old, but
get
like,
into it. Do it, Alana. Let's go.
not to be whatever, but like in this digital age, like we are looking for connection. We are looking to like form relationships with people. We are looking for something deeper than just what was kind of standard before, in my opinion.
What's your relationship with social media then?
Oh my gosh, don't ask me that. I'm such a hypocrite because I mean, it's like so hard to not be on social media, and I'm kind of like, it's my job. Like I won't get inquiries if I'm not posting or if I'm not on social media, and I'm just like scrolling reels. Like this is not benefiting me at all. But
you write off your phone as a business expense on your taxes. Oh well.
Literally, you can do that. Write off your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's a business expense. But I think I'm definitely trying to be more intentional because I know it's not good to spend that much time. I mean, just like we were talking about, even just comparing yourself to others and like what other people's journeys are is like not what my journey is. And not that anyone is doing anything wrong on social media by sharing those numbers or sharing that they're, you know, only taking this amount of bookings or they're fully booked, or there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it's like, it's hard to, I think for a lot of creatives, to see that and wonder like, and to not wonder, you know, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. How do you not look in the mirror and say like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Like, what am I doing wrong? What are they doing that I'm not? Like, what are clients seeing in them? That it's very hard to be like in the creative industry and not take everything personally.
Literally everything. Even inspiration that you see are like, why can't I make that?
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's journey looks so different. And again, going back to the comparison thing, like it's hard not to compare what you're doing to what everybody else is doing. And for me, I don't know if it makes it special, but just taking one day at a time and trying lots of different things and honestly just making it up as I go. It's not like a formula that I like plugged into my business and like do this for success. Like it was trying new things and talking to new people and a lot of trial and error.
Where did you learn photography?
Where did I learn photography? Oh my gosh, I just got a text message from my mom and she like sent me this like Facebook memory of like me in like 2010. Like I was at the county fair and I like entered some of my photography like into the county fair and I got like third place and I was like, I am just like so artistic and creative. And it was like the most horrible, it was like the most horrible photo ever. And like I looked terrible and I was wearing like fake glasses. And so even I think that's where it started. It was like this desire to create something new. Not that what I was doing at that point was new, but the desire to just be creative. And like there were a bunch of different outlets at that point that I was like painting and drawing and singing and doing. I went to school for graphic design. So like my whole entire life, I was like, I desire in like my deepest self to be creative and to like, however that looks like, I don't know yet, but like we're going to try everything. And photography was like really what stuck.
And that's what you kept iterating on and kept trying new things within that field. Yeah. What are the things that you tried that landed you where you are right now?
Ooh, painting and drawing, like I already mentioned. I learned photography from a really good family friend. And so that's kind of just always been a part of my life. She was always taking photos. So I was always exposed to that. I was baking and cooking and like flower arranging and
yeah, you did say if you weren't a wedding photographer, you'd be
I would still be in the wedding industry for sure. Definitely like a florist, definitely doing something creative. So whatever I would have done in life, it would have been artistic, creative, something like that. I couldn't imagine not doing this, but photography was like, oh my gosh, like my heart, like I love this so much. Like it really just like lit something under me being for couples on their wedding day, being there for couples on their wedding day.
I'm interested in this because I think I went through a similar thing of like, you weren't engaged or married by the time you knew that you wanted to serve couples that were in love.
Yep.
How did you know? And then also what changed when you went through the steps that you were serving other people?
Yeah. That's such a good question. I definitely felt like a little bit like, oh, who am I to be like serving these people? Like, I'm not in a relationship. I don't really understand what they're going through on that level because I myself haven't gone through that. I got into photography because my friends wanted me to second shoot for them. And like from the first wedding that I ever second shot, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I don't care. Like there was some fear going into it because I'm like, I don't know how to run a business. The market is so oversaturated. What if I fail? What if I don't succeed? I'm not in a relationship. So can I like even understand what these people are going through? Like there's a lot of fear like starting, but I knew that on a level that's not obviously like boyfriend and girlfriend or fiance and fiance, husband, wife, whatever. I knew that I had love for other things. And I think it even gave me like a cooler perspective to like, well, I don't know what you guys are going through right now. Like, I don't have anything to relate it to. So like, I'm simply here to step back and like observe what you guys are going through. And I think that was very beneficial for me to just like, I don't have anything to relate this to. I'm not going to like do what I did for like my engagement or for my relationship or my marriage. So I'm just here to like really pick up on like the smaller details that like someone else may overlook. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think you learn a lot about love like before you get into a relationship or into marriage. Yeah. I think it's really cool that like there are people that are in the wedding industry that have a unique perspective as a single person or someone that's just dating.
Yeah.
I think there's interesting parts of that you wouldn't get with someone that would just go through the motions, if you will. Yeah. Because they themselves are married and these people are getting married. So I can like
you're not just looking for the big moments of like the first kiss, walking down the aisle. Like I was like, okay, like I've never been to a wedding before, especially in those like early moments where I was like, I don't want to miss anything. Like I'm going to look for those like little touches. I'm going to look for those like little subtle eye flickers or like when you like, I don't know, just those every little thing I was like not blowing out of proportion, but like maybe in someone else's eyes, it was like, okay, calm down. Like you don't need that many photos. I'm like, well, I want to capture everything. Like, I don't know what's important to these people. Like right. I didn't have that perspective in my own life. So I was really trying to focus on that perspective in these people's lives. I don't know. Yeah. Again, and not, that makes sense.
and not like miss moments that you don't know are important or not.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like you're just like, let me get everything.
I'm like, this seems important. I feel like I should take a photo of it. Yeah.
Right. What has changed now that you have been through that whole process that you shepherd your couples through before that? Has anything changed? It might not.
I think things have changed and things haven't changed. It was so like, I loved being engaged. I love planning our wedding. And I know not everybody does enjoy wedding planning. So I obviously don't want to be like, wedding planning is so much fun. And they're like, I'm so stressed out. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. But I think my process, like going through that, I understand like the family pressures that come from wedding planning. You don't
realize that. And, I mean, both of our eyes got big, but like you don't realize that until you go through it.
I don't think my photography style has changed. It's not like I'm like noticing different things now. I think that has remained the same, but just like within the process of wedding planning, I'm like, because even I tell couples all the time, even me, I'm like, I eloped. Well, not really, because everybody knew we were getting married. But like I had a really small wedding. It was super intimate. It was beautiful. It was on the coast of Oregon. Like it was different than what a lot of my other couples are doing. So I'm like, and I was stressed out. And we had 4 people there and like not really anything else was going on. And I was like, I was trying to people please and I was trying to make sure everyone was happy and I was trying to coordinate this and that and the other and like, where are we going to eat? Where are we going to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And like, there are people who have like 200 plus peoples at their wedding. And so I'm just like, I feel for you. Like, I know what it's like to do this and to have a billion people, it seems like breathing down your neck and you're wanting to please everyone. But at the same time, like it's your day. So you're trying to do what you want to do. But
so much tension in that. I'm sure like, especially eloping, caring for only a small
group of people, it's like, yeah, you're right. When you asked about like, where are we going to go eat? Like, it's like, what am I feeding my photographer that's flew all the way out with us or whatever? Like, as a bride or a groom that are at the center of all the attention, I feel like your wedding day often is you making sure everyone else is okay.
You really run into decision fatigue. That's definitely what I felt. I was like, someone tell me what to do. Yeah. Someone make the decision for me because I don't want to. And I love bringing, because it's such a stressful time, or it can be such a stressful time in your life, when it's really supposed to be like so happy and so joyful, and like sometimes you run into difficult people. I really do enjoy bringing that like joy into that person's life, like through engagement photos, through our calls that we have, just through like simple texts. Like that means the world to me when I'm able to be like, no, this is supposed to be a really happy time for you. Like, you don't have to feel stressed, or like if you do feel stressed, like let's do engagement photos and like let's just kind of strip it all back and remember like why this is all happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Because in all of that decision fatigue, you're less like involved in your partner and you're more involved in like whatever this production is.
Yeah, production.
If it comes
Such
to
a
that.
good word.
But like, there's a lot of that. But and I think a great way that you said is like you said it so well, and the question was already answered, was like, how do you flip that decision fatigue to comforting your clients? And like you said, like, just all those things made so much sense. Like being able to comfort people because you've been through it is such a real thing. And it's so cool to hear your version of comforting people.
Yeah. Because it can be like just super overwhelming, and just being able to take people to Lancaster City or to Philly or wherever your engagement photos may be, and to just like, we don't have to think about all that right now. Like that, you're just here, you're going to kiss and love on your partner, and we're just really going to try to remember why this is all come about in the first place. It's because you guys love each other and you want to spend the rest of your lives with each other. And it's not about picking the cake and the place settings, and just there's so many more things that are involved that you don't even realize are involved that are just silly. It just causes just silly stress.
Do you see yourself doing this for the foreseeable future?
Yeah.
Is this like you've reached it?
I feel, and I have this like all over my website, and I just always express like how grateful I am to have found something that like is going to sound cheesy, but literally lights my soul on fire at such a young age. Like I started doing this when I was like 21, 22, like really seriously.
Yeah.
So at that age, like that's crazy that I'm like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I have conversations with guests at weddings and I'm like, what do you do? Like, do you enjoy what you do? And they're like, no, not really. And they're like 40, 45, 50 years old. And I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy. Like, I just feel so blessed to have found something that I so truly enjoy doing and that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life.
This episode is sponsored by the Silo Discord. So you made it to an event, you met some friends, you got some amazing images out of it, but now you have to wait until the next one to hang out with some of your favorite people. It's not the case. Join the Discord. This is a great way to get connected with all of your friends. My favorite part has to be sitting in the voice channels while I'm editing. Having people join in, ask what I'm working on, asking how their day is going, or just talking about some of the struggles we're facing really just builds a deeper bond with a lot of these community members. With that comes different channels to talk about gear, poetry, memes, food, anything in between. Image critique where we can come together and give positive feedback on images, making all of our skills sharper. So if you're not already a part, click the link in the description and join the Discord. It's an amazing spot to be.
Talking to the creative that hasn't found their passion yet in either the creative space or what they want to do for the rest of their lives, how do you talk them into encouragement for the future?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm going to say like what was told to me when I was even just starting out with photography, when I had found what I wanted to do, but I just wasn't where I wanted to be yet. It's just keep trying new things. And that sounds so silly, but it was really truthful. Like, keep trying new things, try different things, try new mediums, try new things within those mediums, reach out to people that you really admire, like try to get a sense of that community, like follow people that you really admire. Don't spend all your time on Instagram or TikTok. But just like gaining that inspiration from things outside of Instagram and TikTok are so important too. If you see something that you like, try it. And when you do find, like for me, when it was photography, I kept getting the same advice over and over. Just keep shooting. Like, just keep shooting. Make styled shoots. Ask to shoot for other photographers for free. Like, and I was like, I'm going to be so burned out for shooting. Like, I cannot keep doing this. And like, looking back, I was like, that's how I got better. That's how I got comfortable even like using the buttons on my camera. That's how I got comfortable talking to people. That's how I was able to show up and not be super awkward for the people and make them feel comfortable in front of the camera. If I was uncomfortable, they're going to be uncomfortable for sure. So take like the simple things that people in the industry that you want to be in and like actually take that to heart, because I didn't, and I wish I would have sooner.
Experience breeds confidence, I think. And all that you 100%. Said was like literally the hardest part is starting. And then the second hardest thing is consistently doing what you started.
Yep.
And so being able to stick to what either you promised yourself or something that you just want to be on track for, that you're lit up for, like, is so important as a creative. Like, just see the thing, do the thing, repeat it.
And you're going to mess up, and that's okay. And like, you don't have to be perfect your first time. I feel like you obviously need different creative outlets when you are creative. You cannot just because a lot of the times we take our hobby and we turn it into something that we love and something that we can make money from, and we turn it into our careers, and you need those other creative outlets. And I tend to be the person that's like, well, I didn't get it right on the first try. It's like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it's frustrating. And that is going to kill you. It's just going to ruin your creativity. It's going to like stifle you. You're going to mess up. Like, you're going to make mistakes. People are going to be awkward sometimes, and you're going to be awkward sometimes, or you're going to mess up or do something wrong or forget your SD cards or forget your batteries. Like, we've all done it, and you can't just quit on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
As soon as you said forget SD cards, I immediately was in my head like thinking about like the TikToker reels that it's like they're the photographer on their way to the wedding and they just keep opening up their camera
just
bag.
Gotta check.
just gotta check. Is the camera in there? Okay,
we have
cool.
trust issues.
5 minutes later, is my SD cards in there? Is my lens in there? Oh, dude, it's so bad. And I am such I do that all the time.
I do not trust myself. I do not trust that especially when you have like double headers or triple headers, you're like, I mean, I've done it. Like, when I show up as a second shooter, I put my new battery and I'm like, well, this one's, switching out your old battery and putting in a new one. It's like 19%. I'm like, I thought I charged these.
Yeah.
Like, always bring backups. Always bring backups.
Just keep repeating it. That's all.
And what you said is really true. Like, experience breeds confidence and knowledge, and you're not going to get better if you don't keep doing it. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to be like, well, that was really odd. Like, you hop off a consultation call, and most every single time I'm like, I am so awkward. Like, why did I say that? Or like, why did I do that? And it's super scary. Like, when you're meeting strangers in a field for the first time, or you're hopping on a consultation call for the first time, you're like, I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what their personality's like. Like, are they going to like me? And you just have to do it. And a lot of the times it's fake it till you make it.
Yeah. I think I take it myself as a very awkward person. And so my first thoughts when I meet people too is like, are they going to like me? Do I even like have a personality that could even mesh with them at all? And like, even if not, how can I get through what it is that we're doing? And hey, they might be super opinionated over here and I might be super not opinionated over here. And it's like, how can we meet in the middle and just be humans that are doing life together?
But remembering to not change yourself.
Right.
To make yourself more digestible, to make your art more digestible, to make them like you like that is something that I've learned over the past couple of years, is to not change who I am for like the benefit of someone else.
Because, and you can tell me if you're wrong, if you're right or wrong on this, but like, because the people that do come to you, you want to attract the people that are true to yourself. You know,
absolutely.
if you change for someone else, you're going to get, you might get 25 out of 25 weddings filled for 2025,
yeah.
but they're going to be people that do not mesh with you well because you actually change to them instead of being your authentic self and having people that are attracted to that come to you.
You're going to burn out so quickly.
Yes.
You're going to burn out so quickly. And
because it's just more work to like have to do that too.
It's hard because you're putting yourself on the line and you're like, this is my true self. Like, and when you get those rejections, as you eventually will, not everyone's going to like vibe with you or, you know, be your best friend. You're going to get those rejections. You'll take it harder. I mean, it's going to suck. Like when you're like your true authentic self and you're like consultation, you're just like doing you. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we decided to go in a different direction. You're like, they hate me. Like, I hate me.
But at least you came back to, this is who I was.
Yep.
And if they didn't like who I was, there's other people that they'll actually connect with and have a better experience probably.
At the end of the day, that's like what you want. You just want them to have a good experience with a photographer that they're going to love and that's going to be a good presence on their wedding day. And if that's not me, that's okay.
Yeah.
I want you to have a good experience with someone.
And that speaks to the community aspect of it and not hoarding it all for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
If you were to change for other people, you are selfishly doing that actually. I think like you think about it, it's like if I change who I am to get more clients for myself, I'm actually taking away from who they would actually connect with better.
Absolutely.
That might be spatially way too far away from like your normal thought process of it. But
no,
like,
but I've never thought about it like that.
Like you're there to serve the people and you can say no to serve them better sometimes, I feel like.
So true. Wow. Wow.
It's one of those things you don't think of when you're like in the business aspect of it, right? Because you're just like, yeah, they came to me, so they're mine.
This doesn't make sense like financially or like this goes against everything that like as a business like you would want. But in being true to yourself, you're actually like doing more work for your business. Like you're actually expanding your business and you're actually just exactly what you said. I can't even put it better than sometimes it's the best to just say no.
Yeah. And it's hard.
It's really hard,
especially when you're like, no, I will need money in September, whenever that comes around.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have to discern, like, if this is truly for me, if these people are right, do I think yeah. So there's a lot of that. But I think too, going back to one of our points earlier is that you can't just immediately want to be a professional at things, right? We go back to how you have to experience life and experience the craft that you're going through to be able to get to a confidence level that you are able to attract who you want. And you just can't miss those reps in between 1 and 100. You just can't. You can't go and pick up a camera, you're at step 1, and then immediately get to 100 without failing. Like you have to fail, you have to be rejected, you have to fumble some clients, even if they were right for you. It's like you I don't know, it just didn't work out, and you have to have those like things that really just throw you down and get low to be able to get to a confidence level where you can market yourself at a confident level. And so many times I've been in a spot where I am just not confident enough. And not that confidence is everything, but it goes a long way when someone is on a consult call with you and you're like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Book me. It's human nature to like want to be good at everything and to immediately not want to struggle, not want to have trials and tribulations, and to just immediately be good at things. And when we're not, it's definitely like a confidence killer. It's like, oh, I'm a failure. Like, so it's not unrealistic to not want to take all the steps that you should take and need to take.
What in business did you have to learn to like keep up with the volume of clients that you're working with? Are you using a CRM? Like what, like you're using Pixie Set, I think for
I use
photo
PicTime for gallery delivery,
Yeah.
and then I use HoneyBook for like to manage all of my
Yeah,
clients.
yeah. Talk to me about HoneyBook.
What do you want to know about
No, I
HoneyBook?
just talk to the people
Use
about
code Alana Blythe Photo for
Hey,
10%
yo,
off. No, just kidding.
okay.
There's no code.
Sponsored?
Sorry, you're gonna have to pay full price.
Well, talk to me about what a CRM is, why you use HoneyBook, why should other people have a way of interfacing with their finances, their clients,
Yeah.
Their galleries all in a decent one spot.
Yeah. So just to start, firstly, you don't get into like a creative industry to like eventually think, oh yeah, I'm gonna do all this like business back end stuff. Like it was a nightmare. There's so many nights where I just cried and I was like, I don't want to get HoneyBook. I just want to have fun. Like I don't want to have to pay taxes. Like screw the government. I just want to take pretty photos and like scroll on Pinterest and meet cool people. And that's what I want to do. And then eventually it was like, well, because I do enjoy doing this, like I really need to invest in the back end of things to create a client experience that's smooth, that's easy to understand.
It's the less sexy part of being a creative.
It sucks. I hate it. But yeah, HoneyBook, we can talk about that. It really helped streamline everything for me. I mean, there were times where I was just keeping track of everything like in my notes, like the notes app in my iPhone. And I was just like, did I do this engagement session? Like, yes. Did I send this contract? Like, yes. And there was a time where I didn't even use contracts. That's terrifying.
Ooh, yeah.
Get contracts and get insured. That's like my top advice.
Yeah.
For anyone. But with HoneyBook came like once you learned it, and there was like a lot of tears and gnashing of teeth to learn like all of the back end things. But like with that came more time and energy for me to be creative for people because I wasn't having to pull my hair out and stress about like, well, did I do this? Did I do this? Is this like being paid on time? Like scrolling through payments and like that energy and time wasn't taken up doing the boring, like less sexy things. Like I got HoneyBook and that kind of put everything in a nice, neat little folder for me. And I was able to then give more of myself to the people that I was serving.
Yeah. Do you have like email templates that, I mean, they're not like, you don't just send out anything like an email that's like super broad to people, but like, has that any automations within HoneyBook really like saved more time for you?
Yeah. So I have it set up where it's like an automation, but it like checks in with me first. And it's like, do you want to send this? And then I can customize it, personalize it. If there's like something else that we need to talk about, I'm like, hey, like, I just wanted to make sure that like, we're good at this time. You know, this is what you said you were wearing. That sounds great. And it's really just been like I don't have to think about that then. HoneyBook thinks about it for me. And it pops up and I'm like, oh yeah, I would have forgotten to send that. So I don't have to think about that now. And more of my mental capacity is able to be given to the creative side.
Yeah. And because of that, it takes the customers on a journey to your clients on a journey of like, hey, you'll be getting an email with your gallery, but then also like maybe a thank you or whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
It's so great that you can like have that just per client too. Like you're not setting that up every time. It's you're typing in probably what your client is, if it's a wedding, a portrait, whatever, and it has its own email journey.
It also has a level of professionalism and puts more trust. Your clients put more trust in you when there's that level of like, oh, she knows what she's doing. She knows what's going on. Like, I can trust her. She's done this before. This looks professional.
It's reliable too.
It's reliable, and they trust you more to execute your vision more on their wedding day because they know that you're trustworthy.
And you're on time for like emails and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like
all of that matters more than just like showing up and shooting the wedding. When you develop that relationship of trust with your clients, with like you said, the on-time emails and like the everything just going and working smoothly, then they really trust you in the ways that really, really matter to your art.
Yeah, and I think, and this is, I feel like common knowledge and like common, but like for me, it's like if a client emails me a question that like should have been an email that was already sent, I feel like I am defeated. I'm like,
Yeah.
I should have thought about that. I should have sent that out beforehand, because
A
if
lot
they're
of times they
asking
don't even
that,
notice.
yeah, well, sure, and it's just like, oh, they're like, hey, it's week of, just checking in. Like,
Yep.
are we ready to go? And I didn't send the email, and I'm like, you're right. I was just about to send that. And I'm like totally lying to them about like, oh yeah, no, you actually made me think about what I need
Yeah.
to check in on you on. But like Honeybook kind of solves a lot of that. Sure. I'm sure you like week of, you could send out, hey, just checking in. We're a week
I
away
will
from
be
your
there.
wedding.
Don't worry.
Right. Right. Instead of having them be like, hey, just checking in with all my
Oh my
vendors.
gosh. Yeah. Like that anxiety of like, should I check in with them? Like,
Yeah.
are they going to show up? Like even day of, I mean, I know it's not Honeybook, but the morning of the wedding, I'm like, it's 3 or 4 or 5 hours until I have to be there. But I'm like, hey, I just, happy wedding day. Like, I can't wait to be there for you and celebrate with you. And that like alleviates some of their stress and anxiety of, are these people going to show up? Like this important vendor that's, going to take photos of my wedding day. Like, are they going to be here?
We're in the deep end. So any question's a good question now.
Okay.
But like, do you keep one catalog for all of your photos, or do you do catalogs per
No,
wedding?
I do catalogs. Sometimes even like per
like
area of the
aspect
day. Yeah,
okay.
aspect of the day per wedding.
Whoa.
And then
Okay.
recently I've just
No.
kind of been this last wedding and then I second shot. So I have like a small wedding and then like a big wedding, and that all just kind of accidentally got jumbled together.
Well-
but normally I keep things organized.
Why is that? Because I
Why
think
is what?
there's a divide of like, I have a Lightroom catalog that encompasses everything. And within that is like folders in like your develop tab or whatever, where you can make certain like sets of images.
Okay.
But like, why do you specifically do a catalog per wedding? Because that's what I do too.
Well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Honestly, it's really just the vibe. I don't really like committing to one thing or the other. I just kind of do what feels right in the
Yeah.
moment. And sometimes that comes back to bite me, and well, actually most of the time it does. But again, we're just kind of making things up as we go, and my process is different than other people's process. And
But one thing we can agree on is that we both hate Apple Magic Mice, and we're never gonna use that.
the word mice kind of threw me off. I was
Oh,
like, who?
mouse.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
mouse.
the little guy that
Yeah.
like sits so flat.
This
your
is
arm.
not ergonomic.
No, this
is you
Yes,
need one of
exactly.
these.
Yeah, you do. Okay, so are you
I'll
on
send
this?
you the Amazon link.
Okay, cool. I need that because I use an MX Master, which is like a Logitech. I feel like a lot of creatives use that mouse where it is like more off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
But are you like fully like coffee mugging it?
Yeah, so it's like
Wow.
this is like the little no.
You have like but there's some
This is
people that
the
have like a
scroll.
ball too. But you don't have
yeah,
a ball.
I've seen one of those. I have like a whole old lady setup where I have like the ergonomic mouse and then like the pad that like my
No way.
wrist sits on. I have carpal tunnel or something, not diagnosed yet, but like I'm in pain. My wrist hurts.
And then you have a nice sitting chair, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a nice big chair where I can fold my legs up underneath me and like sit cross-legged. It's awesome. I don't want this like whole lumbar arch support. I just
Yeah.
want to be comfy.
I just want
I'm gonna pay for it
I
when I'm
want to
like
cozy
40.
up in the
but
corner of my bedroom on a beanbag and do my creative work.
those like love sacks. Have you ever
Dude,
seen those?
That's what I say to everyone.
Yeah.
I say, yo, I want a freaking love sack because
with
it looks,
like a big 2x4 in between, so I can
Yes.
set my laptop on it
oh
and
my
just do.
gosh. I would kill
nice.
for one of those.
Yeah.
You know how expensive they are though?
Are they really expensive?
They're like
I'm not
thousands
really
of dollars,
looked into
I think.
that because I don't have room for like.
Dude, I want one in my living room so bad. I don't want a nice like old man chair when I get old. I just want a
That's what
large
Josh
bean
wants.
bag.
He wants like a recliner, like
Yeah.
an old leather, and I'm like,
Those
no.
are nice. Like, and especially if they recline and they have
So we're
like
gonna
a
have a
little cup
recliner
holder.
and then the huge bean bag.
Listen, we're all about comfort here. It's not about this like looks good mentality. Let's feel good. Let's just relax.
vibe.
Yeah, let's put some music on, get a record playing in the background.
Yeah,
Edit some
exactly.
photos on my coffee mug like mouse.
Coffee mug.
I don't know, but you said
It
that
does
you
look
need
like
to go
a
off to the
coffee
side.
mug.
So like when you hold it, this is what the Silo podcast is now.
Yep.
We're talking.
I like it. I prefer it.
We should just
You should do like an outtakes season.
Oh,
Not like an
yeah.
outtakes, but where you just talk, and there's like no pressure to answer like any deep, meaningful, life-changing questions.
That's what the
It's just
first half of this podcast was, me grilling you, and then you just grilled my computer setup off camera here.
It looks really bad. It would stress me out. If that was my laptop,
what did you see?
The window.
No, tell the people what you saw.
People, what I saw was he opened the screen and there were like, I can't even describe it. Like, it's literally like Armageddon. Like, it looks terrible.
My face is so red right now.
There are like 400, because you guys were talking about things are layered on top of everything in the desktop. I have like 3 things on my desktop.
Yeah, what are those 3 things?
I don't know. There was a time where my laptop was running really slowly and I didn't know why. And it was just like a storage issue, but it was running so slowly. And I had like, my laptop was just full of things. And then I finally ended up cleaning it out. But like in that moment, I was just like, I'm just going to buy another laptop. Like, I do not want to deal with it. It's broken. It's done. I bought it a year ago. I guess a year is the lifespan for these things. Like, I'm just going to throw it away and buy a new one.
Alana, what does creating mean to you? Like, what part of that is what you attach to?
I think it means such different things to such different people, but being like true to who you are and like what makes you happy. I feel like any answer that I'm going to give is like, so like
cliche answers are
cliche
allowed.
And
cliche answers are allowed, because in that cliche is like a specific moment that's just for you.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think and I've been thinking about all of this recently, and I think it's really important to always come back to like, what does creativity mean for me, especially when like we grow our businesses and like we become, more successful or bigger, or we're booking more clients. Like, something that's really been heavy on my heart is like, why did I start doing this? I put so much work into this. Other people have poured so much work into this. Like, my husband has done so much for me to like build this into what it is. Like, am I being true to why I originally started this? Am I still creating things that I like? Am I still making art? Do I even like what I'm like, the galleries that I'm sending out anymore? Because if I'm not, and if I don't, then I might as well just quit this and like work for somebody else. If I'm not being true to who I am.
If you're not taking advantage of you owning that business and you making all the shots.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Like, if you're working for someone else, like, that's when you can give in to other people's asks. But because you are your own person and you are the one that creates the art, why not stay true to yourself?
Exactly. Not trends, not what everybody else is doing, but like, do you like what you're doing? And do you like your edits? Do you like your shooting style? Do you like these galleries that you're sending out? Are you being like true to what got you started? And like, do you love what you're putting out into the world?
How do you find your why?
I feel like I'm still finding that. Like, and I feel like my why right now is just as simple as like, I love this and I cannot imagine not doing this. There's really no, for me, like deeper, like rant that I could go into of like, this is blah, 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 blah. Like, I just so enjoy doing this, and not to get all like deep, but like, this life is so short and so precious, and like, why wouldn't I do what I love? Yeah. Like, why wouldn't we do what we love? Yeah.
I was going to help you find a word, but I think you found it. It was like between passion and purpose. Like,
yeah.
You don't have to have like a backstory to why you're doing this, but what you are doing it for is like because it fires you up.
Yeah.
And that is passion. And I think somewhere you'll probably find there is purpose for what you're doing, and but finding what your purpose is in it is really cool. And that is a journey. Purpose is a journey, which is really cool. So, Alana, thank you for coming on the pod.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Come on, we went from heady conversations down to laughing about mice. So if you stuck around this long, and my laptop, rip my laptop. But anyway, we'll see you next time. Peace.